Hi, and thanks for joining me for this tutorial. Here I'm just continuing our brief conversation about what some of all these buttons do in your Joomla content editor and how you can use them effectively to make your text look good. Now, I left off last time talking about this little button here called the Insert Read More. Now, those of you who are running blogs out there know that a lot of times on your blog category pages, you usually have a list of your most recent posts, perhaps maybe 5 to 10 articles. Well, in those cases, you don't want the full text of each article appearing, but rather just some introductory or teaser text along with a button that says Learn More or Read More. Well, one of the things that this button does is it lets you put a break in there that's invisible so that if this article appears in a list of other articles, there will automatically be placed a button that says Read More. So typically what you'll do is after the first sentence or two, you'll go ahead and place your cursor there and then click this button in order to insert an invisible Read More break so that in those category views of your blog articles in recent posts, you see just a title, some teaser, and a Read More button. So that's what that button there does. Now, perhaps you have a paragraph and you'd like to add maybe a subtitle above that paragraph to really just identify what content is below. Well, instead of playing with the font size and bold, which would probably be the most natural choices, one thing that I really love to use is this option here. Typically it'll say paragraph by default, but basically what it does is it applies special styles to whatever text you have highlighted. So for example, in this case, this particular one here, normally this is what it would look like when you type it in directly. But if I want it to be a little bolder looking subheading or title, I'd highlight it. And instead of applying a paragraph style to it, I'm going to click this and pay particular attention to the heading 1, 2, 3 on to 6 that you're going to see. As you can tell, they look slightly different. On the front of your site, they will look slightly different, but you're going to notice there's an hierarchy of size and boldness to each of these. Well, typically for subheadings, you might choose heading 2 or 3. In this case, I'm going to choose 3. And you'll notice it applied a little different style to that subheading, which when I hit save and refresh on the front of my site will be reflected. Using heading tags instead of just bold and making the font bigger is a good practice also because search engines look for these heading tags to get a better idea of what your page is about. So if you're going to make some text like a little brief title above certain paragraphs, play around with using some of the heading tags to make that text stand out. Let's see here. Another thing to be familiar with, I think, is this little icon here, which has a greater than and less than sign, and it's a source code editor. Now, some of you who may not be familiar with HTML might be afraid to click this button, but if you do click it, all it's going to do is it's going to swap you over to just a view that lets you see the hidden code or HTML that makes up that page. So if you're ever having any weird display issues or want to do something kind of fun and interesting, occasionally you want to look at this view in order to identify maybe where there could be some problem HTML that you pasted in from another site and just don't see it. When you click this button here, you get to see really what the browser sees. So you might be in a better position to kind of look around a little bit and see what might be causing you a display issue. So this particular button here, source code editor, just kind of swaps the view. Sometimes if you're going to paste in some YouTube embed code, instead of pasting in this code here, you'll want to swap over to the HTML view and paste in your HTML embed code here, then swap back and then hit save. That way the code you paste here gets recognized as code and not just as normal text. So good to be aware of that particular button there as well.